Did you know that the dollar in your wallet is part of a massive Fiat Ponzi scheme, meticulously designed to trap you in endless debt? You're told it's stable, reliable, the backbone of the world's economy. But the truth? Central banks create cash out of thin air with just a few keystrokes, inflating it away and enriching the elite while eroding your hard-earned savings. Let's pull back the curtain on this illusion. It all started over a century ago, in the shadows of secrecy. In 1910, a group of powerful bankers gathered covertly on Jekyll Island off the coast of Georgia. Their mission? To engineer what would become the Federal Reserve System. They weren't there to protect the average American. They were plotting to centralize control over the nation's money supply. This wasn't born out of altruism. It was a direct response to the panic of 1907, a financial crisis sparked by speculators' failed attempt to corner the copper market. Banks had overlent recklessly, leading to widespread deposit withdrawals and chaos. Trust companies liquidated loans in a fire sale, causing a severe credit contraction that nearly collapsed the economy. The bankers used this panic as their excuse, disguising their power grab as much-needed reform. Fast forward to December 23, 1913. The Federal Reserve Act was signed into law by President Woodrow Wilson. This created a hybrid system of private and public entities, 12 regional Federal Reserve banks, each with its own board of directors, branches, and districts. These private bankers were handed the reins to print money, set interest rates, and essentially dictate the flow of America's economy. You don't elect these people. You don't know their true incentives or who they truly serve behind closed doors. Yet we're all forced to trust them with the world's financial fate. They promise stability, backing the dollar with gold to prevent overprinting. But that promise? It was a lie waiting to unravel. For decades, the gold standard held, sort of. Then in 1971, President Richard Nixon shocked the world by ending the dollar's convertibility to gold. With a single announcement, the US dollar became pure fiat money, untethered from any hard asset. Now, banks could print and dilute the currency at will whenever it suited their agendas. Think about what that means for you. In a world of hard money, like gold or something even better, you can't just inflate the supply endlessly. Bad investments fail without a safety net. There's no lender of last resort to bail out the reckless. But in our fiat system, failure is optional for the powerful. Have you ever wondered why you feel compelled to invest your money just to keep up? You might think, I can't just save it. It'll lose purchasing power over time. And you're absolutely right. But pause and ask, if you've already traded your scarce time and energy, working long hours at your job, for those dollars, why should you have to risk it all in investments just to stay afloat? The answer lies in the nature of money itself. Money is an abstraction of your energy and value exchanged in the world. When we hand control of that exchange to a select few who can print it from nothing, they dilute your efforts at whim. Your time gets cheaper. Their power grows. This forces everyday people into the stock market, real estate, and other hard assets, anything to outpace inflation. This isn't an accident. It was designed and engineered to work this way. It's called the Cantillon Effect, named after 18th century economist Richard Cantillon. The Cantillon Effect says, when new money is printed, those closest to the source benefit first and most. Banks, elite corporations, governments, and private equity firms borrow at rock-bottom rates. Think zero interest rate policy, where they get money at 0 to 3%. Meanwhile, you and I, we pay 6 to 7% on mortgages, 10 to 20% on personal loans, 25% plus on credit cards, and up to 500% on payday loans. And get this, when they extend that credit, they're often creating it out of thin air, then charging interest on it. The elites borrow cheap, scoop up assets like real estate, gold, stocks, and even Bitcoin. Prices soar. Their net worth explodes and you're priced out. With their growing equity, they qualify for even cheaper loans, widening the gap. This game was engineered to keep the middle class and poor in perpetual struggle, while the insiders thrive. And when banks make bad bets, no problem. They trot to the Federal Reserve for a bailout, get a slap on the wrist, and emerge solvent. Unlimited reward for them. All the risk dumped on us. This endless debt cycle funds everything from wars to corporate rescues, while inflation quietly taxes your savings. Take wars, for example. Governments issue bonds, essentially printing money via the Fed, to finance conflicts. Then Americans foot the bill through higher taxes and hidden inflation. The war on terror alone has cost an estimated $8 to $10 trillion. That's like the government dropping an $80,000 invoice on every taxpayer's doorstep. Would you vote for that if given a real choice? Of course not. but they disguise it through inflation, issuing more bonds to profit from the chaos. History is littered with warnings. Great civilizations have crumbled under similar fiat Ponzi schemes. Ancient Rome started strong with the denarius, a coin of 99% pure silver, true hard money. But as the empire expanded rapidly through conquests, they couldn't sustain the wealth. Emperors began clipping edges and diluting the silver with cheaper metals to inflate the supply. Massive inflation ensued. Elites grew richer, the masses starved, and the empire collapsed under its own weight. We're on a similar path today. In the last 6 years alone, as of 2026, roughly 50% of the entire US M2 money supply has been created, a massive expansion fueled by crisis responses and reckless spending. We now add more than $2 trillion to the national debt every year, which is roughly $70,000 every second. Put that in human terms. With an average American salary around $60,000, the system effectively generates hundreds of thousands of lifetimes worth of value through new debt each year. The result? Your savings slowly lose purchasing power year after year while prices climb and the wealth gap widens. It's not dramatic hyperinflation like in some countries. It's gradual, almost invisible, until you realize a lifetime of work buys less than it should. The cycle is relentless. Every new dollar is created through debt, issued by central banks, spent by governments, taxed back from citizens, then replaced with even more debt. Short-term fixes become permanent habits, and the system keeps growing, favoring those closest to the money creation while everyone else feels the squeeze. But history also shows a way out, returning to principles of hard money, something scarce, verifiable, and resistant to arbitrary expansion. For thousands of years, gold filled that role. It held value across civilizations because it couldn't be printed at will. Yet gold has real limitations. It's heavy and hard to move securely, difficult to divide for everyday use, slow to verify, and, crucially, easy for governments to confiscate. As Americans learned in 1933 when President Roosevelt ordered citizens to surrender their gold under threat of massive fines. Today, innovations in digital money build on gold's strengths while addressing its flaws, creating forms that are absolutely scarce, instantly transferable across borders, perfectly divisible, cryptographically verifiable, and impossible for authorities to seize if properly held. Bitcoin does what no money ever could. It's a fully decentralized open-source monetary network that provides everyone a fair chance at exchanging value. It has a fixed supply cap of 21 million coins, issuance that predictably halves every 4 years until new supply eventually stops. A global network run by thousands of independent nodes with no single point of failure, and rules that treat every participant equally, regardless of location, status, connections, or lifestyle. It can't be inflated on a whim by governments, censored by intermediaries, or debased to fund agendas and propaganda. At its core, this matters because money represents your finite time and energy in the world. When that stored value can be diluted by distant decisions, you're forced to chase returns just to preserve what you've earned. Hard money principles flip that dynamic. They reward patience and productivity, protect against hidden taxes like inflation, and distribute power more evenly. The real question isn't about picking one solution. It's about recognizing the pattern. History repeats when we ignore how money shapes societies. What kind of system do we want? One that quietly erodes what we've built, or one that lets honest effort endure? If this gave you a new perspective on money and you're ready to uncover more hidden truths, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. I'll be your guide for more debasement theory.